Okay, this is my first time recording
In a studio.
in a studio. Yeah.
No.
I did so many podcast episodes, but all of them were during the pandemic,
Oh
and it
my
was
gosh.
me at home on my laptop. So this is really cool.
Oh my gosh,
Mm.
I'm so honored. Thank you, and I'm super excited. And by the way, guys, this is I am so grateful kasi this is actually Pia's third time on
Mhm.
Paano Ba To. Before was just YouTube, the next was virtual
Yeah.
pandemic, and this is the first time in a studio. But she not once asked, "What's our topic? What are we talking about? What are the talk points?" You
I
didn't
just
at all.
yeah, no, I mean, you're always fun to talk to, so I know it's gonna be
Oh,
really easy and
thank
fun.
you. You're always a great guest. So, topic reveal.
Ah,
Wow.
topic reveal! Oh my god. Okay.
Hello, supers! This is Paano Ba To the podcast, created and hosted by me, Bianca Gonzalez, produced under Anima Podcasts. Today on the pod, as you saw, my very, very special guest in this episode is the one and only Pia Wurtzbach. When I think about it, Pia was actually one of the first ever guests when I started Paano Ba To on YouTube. And at that time, super suntok sa buwan for me to ask her to guest. And then eventually, she guested again online. And this time, I am so happy to have her with me in a studio to talk lengthily about everything from women empowerment, believing in yourself, mental health, going for your dreams, and so much more. This is a long episode, but I encourage you, you can pause it, if you have something to do, but continue it later on. You will love this conversation just as we love Pia. So, Pia Wurtzbach, back on Paano Ba To? Let's get right to it. I really, especially with now being an author, and after everything you've been through, the topic that I really wanted to talk to you about is how to own and tell your story.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's something that a lot of us struggle, especially in this time na
Mhm.
so many people are into content creation of different forms, or even like applying for a job now, they look at your background, your
Mhm.
story,
Yeah.
your socials, diba?
Yeah.
So I guess the bigger idea of owning your story and
Mhm.
telling it.
Okay.
Okay, so as far back, from the first time I interviewed you to even other interviews I've watched, you've always been very open with your journey, with your struggles, but at the same time, you knew what to keep more private. So parang open but still with boundaries. And one of the stories you shared during the first time you were here on Paano Ba To, you can look that up on YouTube. Paano Ba To, Pia Wurtzbach, and what's gonna come out is How to Not Give Up.
Mhm.
And then you were sharing the story of the time na you questioned yourself na parang, sali pa ako ng sali ng mga pageants, wala na akong pambayad ng rent, or I don't know where to get the next paycheck, kumbaga. And when you're going through something like that, a challenging time, a tough time, it's hard to own your story, 'di ba?
Mhm.
Kasi parang ang hirap. So, ang dami kong sinabi, but the question that I wanted to ask is, when did you begin to own your story?
Oh, I think it's a process. It sound by the way you put it, from first episode pa lang, it sounded like I own my story na, talking about the struggles of joining again and again. But like what you mentioned, there are parts where I am okay to share, and there are parts that I'm not quite ready to talk about yet. So I think it is a process of like kind of uh being comfortable, gaining more confidence, and being okay with sharing more vulnerable moments and vulnerable sides of me. So I think it is still a process. I One that comes to mind right now is when I started really opening up about my mental health struggles. I kept that for a secret, like for a really long time, and I felt like when I was offered to do a TEDx for PNG Singapore, I felt like that was an opportunity for me to really um write my own narrative on how it went. I
Right.
didn't want other people to say the story for me
Mhm.
or to be like to write an article about parang what they witnessed or anything. I wanted to be the first one to say, nahirapan ako. Kala nyo lang madali, pero nahirapan ako and this is what it's really like behind closed doors, and I tried to stay strong for many years, and it was such a parang a relief to be able to come to that point. I didn't think that I knew. I mean, from when I was Miss Universe, the year I was reigning, I knew that one day maybe I will talk about it. Ang idea ko pa nga nun, maybe I'll write a book about it, you know. And then the TEDx offer came about, and then I was like, I think eto na yun. I can share this. It feels right. I feel like I'm in a point of my life where I feel strong enough and informed enough about mental health to share my experience, but also to share nuggets of wisdom and like information about it. So it's not just me parang like ranting about what happened to me, but also coming from a place of healing and being strong enough na, okay, here's what I went through, but also if you're still going through what I went through, here's what you can do about it. So it felt really good to share it at that time. Para akong nabunutan ng tinik talaga na parang, ay salamat, parang bahala na kung maniwala yung mga tao o hindi, pero yun naman yung totoo. So, ayun.
Telling your story in your own terms is parang buti na lang it's like that now. Of course, you remember the time na, let's say, maybe 15 years ago, 12 years ago, na parang we'd have to wait to guest on the buzz
Yeah.
to be able to share our story. And
Yeah.
even then, it's framed in
Mm.
their way,
Mhm.
not in our way. So
Yeah.
now it's actually, like, I feel like the artists now are so lucky that, you know, they don't have to do that. They don't have to grant a TV Patrol exclusive. They can
Mhm.
literally craft their own statement and then release it like on Instagram, and everyone
Mhm.
just picks it up.
Yeah.
Suerte.
That's the good thing about social media. Everybody has a platform now to, share their experiences.
Yeah.
And
Rewinding to after 2015, when you had just won Miss Universe, and of course you had to grant probably hundreds of interviews, and you had to, I guess, share more of your story. So at that time, safe to say that that's the most media attention you've gotten thus far in your life back then. How did it feel to have to, yun nga, put into words the journey that was a mix of highs and lows? How was it at that time?
so I remember having to do one really quick ano lang, like a media, like a
Parang press
media,
con?
parang a mentor, like parang a guide, a coach, a
Mhm.
media coach. Kasi it's I mean it's very unconventional way of winning, right? And so
Oh, they gave you a media coach.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
because I had to be prepared. I mean, I suppose they didn't know about like my skills, if I could answer questions or not. So just to make sure that I was equipped with the right things to say, they
Mhm.
gave me one session where they're like, okay, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be asked the same questions multiple times a day. So it's okay to just repeat your answers. This is what we want to say about the mistake, the announcement, and ganun lang. And they were checking about like, kasi baka mamaya may sabihin akong mali
Mm,
na
mm, mm.
parang, no, ayoko, ganun ako. So, yeah, but I remember I was, um, I was very much ready and excited to be Miss Universe. I felt like right after the crowning, I went straight into a press con with barely enough time to kind of absorb yeah what was going on, and I was asked questions already as if it was my third month na. And I just remember being like, I was parang switch mode na right away na, okay, this is my job now and gotta be ready for this. So, kinaya ko naman. When I'm at work and I'm in front of the camera, I can always get the job done. Like I'm there, I'm on time, I'm never absent, and I finish whatever is needed. It's the struggle is when I'm at home. It's when I'm
Mm.
alone in my room and I'm not necessarily in front of anybody. It's the inner dialogue that's the media interviews I can handle, but the inner dialogue is harder to to face.
Yeah. And you talk about that lengthily in your TEDx
Mhm.
talk, which again, by the way, it's a brilliant
Thank
TEDx
you.
talk. And you shared earlier that when that offer came to speak on stage, on the TED stage, dun mo na realize na parang now is the time to
Mhm.
share this story. That's one part of the hurdle, but the next part of that hurdle is what do you put in the 15 minutes? Like,
Yeah.
what was that process like of picking and choosing what's going into this talk?
So I remember going through it felt like a therapy session without a
I
therapist
can imagine.
because you have to now go back
Mm.
and kind of open the Pandora's box again and kind of unravel previous feelings that were buried a long time and kailangan kong ibalik yung sarili ko in that moment and that time so I can talk about it as honestly as I can. So, it was really hard. Jeremy was a witness to how many times I've had breakdowns because of I've had to go rehash things and as I'm writing my speech, you write it and then you edit it and then you say it out loud and I say it in front of him and then I have to do that a few times. So I'm like going back over and over. It wasn't easy. I remember it hindi naman sa pag-iinarte, pero it brought me to tears a few times. And some moments I've had to had a drink or two just to be able to
Mm.
like paano ko ba matatapos tong script na to ganyan.
Yeah.
But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to go back and I had to and then of course so you write it and you have a first draft and then you think okay, now I have to look at it through the perspective of somebody else, a stranger. How are they going to process this? Does this sound like I'm ranting? Does this sound like I'm preachy? Does this sound like I'm parang nag-complaining? Ganyan. So, I have to look at it through basher's lenses.
Mm.
Also,
Mhm.
kasi hahanapan ko rin ng mali yun na parang kung ako galit kay Pia at naghahanap ako ng butas para
Mm.
pabagsakin siya, anong edit out ko dito sa speech na to para, alam mo
Yeah.
yon yung para, you know how it is
Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
And then I was like, so I had to go through it over and over. But it wasn't easy. And for my next TEDx, actually, I said, okay, I'm gonna not talk about my a personal experience so much. I wanna, change it a little bit. And now the topic is more of your digital presence, the importance of having a digital presence nowadays to grow your personal brand, whether it's your celebrity or you have a small business. So the importance of social media and how to make use of that for your personal growth.
So
So
different
it's
from
so
the first
different. Yeah,
one.
sabi ko, I don't want to cry this time. So, yeah.
Yeah, because when I did watch the TEDx, of course, this is online. There were parts that inisip ko, is her voice cracking? Like,
Mm.
is she going to cry? But at that point, of course, you've played this talk in your head
Yeah.
many,
Many
many, many
times.
times.
Yeah.
But recording that and what we were talking about earlier, it was in a studio, green screen, no
Yeah.
audience. That also was another hurdle, I'm
Mhm.
thinking, because iba yung you write it, iba yung you say it.
Mhm.
And the way you deliver it, of course, you wanted to deliver it in the most genuine
Yeah.
way.
And in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So I could have, gone longer. It's so hard to fit everything in
Yeah.
in that short, span of time.
Yeah.
Parang how do you make it parang impactful but short, and it, will- maybe the other info can be for a
Mhm.
future, I don't know, a book maybe or something.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
Do you remember the most impactful comment or feedback you got
Oh.
from that TEDx talk?
I still so it's still pinned on my profile on my
Yeah.
Instagram now, and every now and then I'll still get people writing a comment there. So I see it, and the best comments for me are the ones where they will take the time to write a long comment talking about how it made them feel better.
Yeah.
That they relate to what I went through, and then that it's giving them the confidence to seek help. To me,
Mm.
that's the goal. The
Yeah.
the job is done once I have convinced somebody to not go through it alone.
Yeah.
Pagka na kuha ko na yung comment na yon, ibig sabihin na achieve ko yung goal. It's the same for my HIV/AIDS advocacy. When somebody comes up to me to whisper in my ear na I'm living with HIV. I got tested and treated because I saw your posts.
Yeah.
To me, that is the best compliment. That
Yeah.
means that I'm doing my job right.
Right.
It's not so much about like how many likes or comments. It's kahit konti lang yan, pero kung na-improve ko yung life mo by sharing mine, that's the best.
Yeah. Yeah. And using your voice has always been something that is important to you. Like in several
Yeah.
interviews, you really emphasize that's the purpose that you have the platform. It's for you to use your voice.
Yeah. Sayang kasi. Bianca, sayang. As in,
Oo.
sayang yung platform, sayang yung followers, sayang lahat. I mean, maganda naman na naghahanap buhay tayo, di ba? Like, we're all influencers at this point. We're all using our social media to do these brand posts and yung magpaandar minsan. That's all cool. That's good. But then I feel like all of us, especially if you have a substantial amount of following, you need to insert a little heart in there once in a while.
Or a lot.
Sayang.
Which
Or a
you
lot.
do.
Or a
Yeah.
lot. Sayang. Sayang
Yeah.
talaga.
So your storytelling has taken a completely different format now with your novel. Woohoo! Best-selling author Pia Wurtzbach
Oh my gosh.
with
I wanna
Queen
show you
of the
guys.
Universe.
This is my personal copy with all
Oh
of
my gosh, it's all folded. Why? Your
Um,
pages are like
I
so it has
know.
folds, guys.
So these folds are where there's not a lot.
Okay, so start part. Yeah.
Kasi
Are those highlights?
yeah, so I highlight some parts that I think because the thing with me is I need to read things over and over again to be able to memorize it. So I highlight some parts that I think are very crucial so I don't forget it if I'm asked in an interview, or if I have to in the future, if I have to think about a book too, which is like way down the line, but then just, and the folds are the little punctuation mistakes I found.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
always like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I can't believe I
So,
missed this.
Yeah, so I fold it and I do a highlight para sa reprint, ma-correct na sila. I mean, there's no major mistake. It's all just little perfectionist lang, like as you're reading, there should be a comma there,
Yeah.
right here. So
Yes.
I'm like marking that, and yeah.
Super relate. Congratulations,
you.
of course. And I know that you've mentioned that Cleo's life is loosely based on your life, of course. So you pick parts of your journey that you wanted to be in her story, but at the same time, fiction comes in to make the story as grand as it can be. But feeling ko, even if it's fiction, the perspectives, the life lessons, and the values shared in the story are perspectives, life lessons, and values that you believe in as well.
And that I've witnessed with other people, not just myself, but na witness ko sa ibang girls, ganyan. So, the fun thing about pattern siya sa akin sa umpisa. Kasi it sounds like me eh. Pero as you read, it's actually not Pia pala, ganyan. Is that parang meron ng, kung baga sa puno, may trunk na. I just have to figure out where the branches will be. Like, parang ako na bahala kung saang direction siya pupunta. And there's room to just make it as dramatic as you want, or to add little friction here and there, or do I want to add a rival? Do they break up? No, ng boyfriend niya, do they not break up? Like, does she win? Does she not win? Like, this is fun. This is the fun part. So, when I was Miss Universe, I had a list of the things that I wanted to do after.
Okay.
So, may iba dun business, ganyan, and kind of businesses that I wanted to do, and book. Under book, may iba pa akong mga ideas din. So, iba-ibang mga genre. I pitched sa ABS-CBN Books 3 ideas. So, I'm claiming na akin pa rin, gagawin ko pa rin yung dalawa.
Oh, wow! A trilogy!
But no, the first one is a lookbook. So, totally different.
Yeah,
More of a guide.
So, a triptych-ish book. Tatlong iba-ibang facets of Pia. Okay, so, lookbook.
A lookbook. Second is a self-help book.
Okay.
Like, on how to build confidence. And then the third is this.
Yeah.
So, pinakita ko sa kanila, tapos sabi ko, you guys are the experts based on your experience and your knowledge. Which one will do best? And they're like, it's this one. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna follow your guidance. So we'll do that.
Yeah.
And then soon after, 2019 pa to, we got to work. It was easy to conceptualize the story because I had this in my mind already for a long time. And then we were ready. A lot of the writing and the ideas came from the shower. And, and also a cafe in BGC where I like to have a Moscow Mule. And then I'm like thinking about what will happen to Cleo. And so my first draft na kami, and we were ready to launch with a different title altogether.
Oh, this is not the original title.
No.
Okay.
I'll tell you the
Okay.
Bianca G exclusive.
Oh,
Paano ba to
wow!
exclusive?
What was the first title?
Goody Two Shoes.
Wow, that's so different.
It's so different.
It lands totally like different directions.
Yeah, it's very, very different.
Okay.
And I suppose you could say that was our working title, but in our contracts and everything, it was called that.
Okay.
So, and a completely different look, everything. And the storyline was the same,
right,
but not as jam-packed as it is now.
Right.
So, ready na, but sa totoo lang at that time, I was like, may gaganda pa to eh.
Yeah.
Parang minamadali natin, pero sige na nga, parang, kasi I'm following a timeline. And then, the pandemic happened, and so, we couldn't push forward with our plans. And then I was like, okay. And then they asked me halfway through the pandemic, are you ready to launch this?
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to wait until lockdown is over, the pandemic's over, because it won't feel right to promote it over Zoom or these streaming channels. I said, I want to be able to do in-person promotions book signings, read a few chapters to my followers, and see people's reaction. Like, I want to be able to do the meet and greet and see my followers, my supporters in person. I like that experience.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. So sabi ko, wag muna.
Yeah.
And then, blessing in disguise yun, kasi habang naghihintay kami, that's when Total Publishing came in. So, we had the idea, gawin na nating international to. So, i-pitch natin sa mga international publishers. And then, sila ang nahanap namin at kumagat. At they loved the idea, so we went back to the drawing board. So now I had they're not Filipino, by the way.
Mhm.
They're based in Singapore
Okay.
and Australia, with offices in, I think, Japan as well.
Okay.
So it's here at the back naman. So I had a few meetings with them, and they're all foreigners, no Pinoy. And so I was like, okay, this is a great chance for me to have somebody, a foreigner, read it and
Right.
then give me some feedback na ibang perspective
Mm.
naman. So sabi nila, let's set the background really in the Philippines and like um make that one of the highlights,
Mhm.
because syempre when I was writing, it was so focused on Cleo's story na hindi ko naman naiisip na I gotta think about the setting of Metro Manila
Mm.
and what is it? What does a pageant setting look like?
Yeah.
Ano ba yung feeling ng nasa isang studio na may mga camera? How do auditions happen? How do
Yeah.
screenings happen? Kasi in-expect ko na yung magbabasa nito, alam na nila yan,
Alam na
na-follow
nila.
naman nila yung mga pageant. But then, it was nice to get that feedback.
Right.
So, it was all a blessing in disguise. And so, and also, of course, they are an international publisher. And then knowing that I'm the author of it and I'm going to be really hands-on in promoting it, we changed the title.
Mhm.
At first, I was a bit concerned because there is a show called Queen of the Universe.
Okay.
Um, pero sa books naman,
Ibang
iba.
copyright.
Oo.
Yeah.
So, hindi siya, so we're safe.
Yeah.
And then I was like, we're going back and forth a lot about like the title, the book cover, the illustration. At first they wanted the Pia blue. And I
Mhm.
was like, I want to move on from blue. I feel like it should be pink and it should be this tricolor aesthetic. So then I
Mhm.
was thinking, kids nowadays, they want to be able to put it with their stuff and mukha siyang aesthetically pleasing pa
Mhm.
rin, ganyan. And I don't want it to look like a children's book. So
Mhm.
anyway, I was and the storyline got better. Another Bianca G exclusive. Wow.
Wow.
The first chapter of the first draft, which we
Okay.
changed and took out, by the way, started with Cleo as a little girl in a school play.
Oh.
Tapos ang partner niya sa school play na yon, Jeremy yung pangalan. Hindi ko pa meet si Jeremy nito.
What?
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Wait, you met Jeremy in 20...
Kasi natapos na yung book
By
earlier
2018,
ng
yeah, yeah.
2019 eh.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Mhm.
Why did the name Jeremy come to you
I
then?
mean, ano lang,
Random.
but he's not a recurring character na
Right,
babalik
right.
ulit doon as a grown-up.
Ano
It
lang
was
siya,
just,
cameo.
yeah, it was just to set the relationship between her and her dad.
Yeah.
Kasi she's expecting the dad to come to the play to watch her, but he ends up not going. And so yung partner niyo doon sa play na yun was a little boy named Jeremy. So, I mean, and then it didn't make sense na because like gugulo na yung story, so we took that part out. But anyway, going back, so we finally have Tuttle Publishing with us, and then we agreed on a timeline, we agreed on a title, we agreed on the manuscript, we agreed on the book cover, the look, everything, which turned out, all of the waiting turned out to
Yeah.
be a blessing in disguise. And then now we're here.
I know.
So, yeah, if ever I get a chance to write book 2, kasi syempre 2019 ang dami pang mga ang dami nang nangyaring changes in the pageant scene,
Yeah.
'di ba? Like wala na mga restrictions ng age, ng gender, tapos ng height. Nung natapos kasi to, wala pa yun eh.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
I'm excited that if ever given the chance to do a part 2, we'll apply those changes now
Right.
to relevant to how the pageant scene has changed
Right.
these days.
Yeah, and once again, I told you this before, but it's so great that, of course, your book is released internationally. But at the same time, you really get into the heart of Pinoy culture, even with the words, with the things the family of Cleo does, the little mga hirits. It's Pinoy na Pinoy, and amazing that, again, foreign readers will get, I guess, to dive into what a normal or a typical Filipino family dynamic is as well. I wanted to I chose a few chapters in your book that I wanted to talk to you about. Chapter 7, The Fortune of Luck and Hard Work is the title. You've always been a believer of not just hard work and perseverance, but also, you always say this parang the right time. It's also a matter of timing. And so I was curious, do you now, after everything you've been through, believe in some way that we also play a role in creating our own luck?
I always used to say that it's when opportunity meets preparation. That's when the magic happens. So I can't just sit around and expect things to happen for me. I have to work every day, kahit little steps lang, towards a bigger goal. So work is put in to make effort is put in to make things look effortless. So naniniwala ko sa luck, yes.
Yeah.
Like when you think about how Miss Universe happened and that whole, like, I thought hindi ako tapos ako pala, ganyan. I know on TV it sounds like, wow, it's magic, like
Fairy
how
tale,
did that
ganyan.
happen, ganon, but that was so long. Like, there's a part of that moment, that a huge part of that moment that people don't see. That's just the tip of the iceberg. But what took for me to get to that point is not seen on social media. It's not recorded on camera. You know, I wish I vlogged back then. I wish I showed more of my moments of, when I was preparing. When I look at the girls now on how they like vlog their preparation, I was like, oh man, I wish I did that. I wish I kept a diary. I wish I I had notes, but I wish I had like visuals as well. So, but yeah, I mean, even as past Miss Universe, even now, we have a role to play in our success.
Yeah.
Like, we can't expect things to just fall onto our laps. If you have a goal and you have a dream, the thing is, I used to say this to myself when I was a kid, is that no, and I realized this siguro dahil sa mga rejections and the things that happened to me and with my parents breaking up, is I used to tell myself, no one will ever give me what I want but myself. Like, it's up to me if I want to make things happen. If I have a dream and a goal, it's really up to me if that's going to happen or not. I can't blame anyone. I can't look left and right and be like, yung mama ko kasi hindi ako ginanito ganyan. Yung daddy ko kasi hindi ganyan. Yung mga kasabayan ko kasi ganito ganyan. I can't point and blame it on others. There's anything I want will have to be my responsibility. So I gave myself that pep talk at a young age, and I think it sounds like parang grabe naman, bata ka pa, ganun mo na yung sarili mo, but it's a reality that I think it's a reality. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to
Period.
sugarcoat
Yeah.
things. Nasa sayo kasi yan eh. Like, you have a dream, that's great, but the harder part is the execution of things. So-
I am exactly the same and of the same belief. Parang I always say this nga when they invite to talks about whatever, creating anything. It's that the ideas are actually the easy part. It's the execution, to your point, and like sustaining it that is
Oh,
the
God. Yeah.
more difficult part.